Hello, Grace Harbor family. I am glad that I get to bring you the devotional today. Today's passage is Proverbs 9, verse 9 through 10. And what it says is this: give instructions to a wise man, and he will be still wiser. Teach a righteous man, and he will increase in learning. The fear of the Lord is the beginning of wisdom, and the knowledge of the Holy One is insight. Now, Solomon's teaching always seems to be timeless, and I think obviously that's because his wisdom comes from God, and God has granted this wisdom to him. And it's just incredible. The way that he teaches this is just saying, hey, to gain in learning and knowledge and wisdom, you have to learn from others, and obviously some of those others is God, right? Like learning things from other people. We have to continuously be learners. And based on the way that we react, I would say that most of us are pretty good where we're at. At least we feel as though we're pretty good where we're at, because our stubbornness and our pride stands in the way of us learning, because we don't like to take instruction from others. Whether you're young or you're old, you're educated or not, it does not matter. People don't like to be corrected. People don't like to be necessarily taught things a lot of times. And so wisdom comes from God. And it says in this passage that the beginning of wisdom is the fear of God. And I believe that goes for those who believe and those who do not believe, because really what it comes down to is that the moment that you start acknowledging that you don't know as much as you thought you knew is the moment that you start becoming wiser. And the moment that you start realizing that God has created all things and has purpose for all things, and there is order to all things that he has created, which is how we kind of structure DNA. It's kind of how we figured out the order of the planets and the reasoning and the tilt of the axis of this world that we live on. There's order to it. And we start to understand that God had a plan and he had a purpose for it. And he is this infinitely wise God. He knows all of these things. And when we start to understand that he has created all things and has a plan for all things, we become wiser. Fear of God is a foundation for all believers, in that we understand, yet we can't actually comprehend who he is and the magnitude of him. That makes sense, right? Like, it's the basis of our faith that we know who God is, but we actually don't understand how grand and how awesome he is. All of his complexities in love and in grace and in judgment, it's very difficult for us to understand. We fear because when you put a blank canvas next to a dirty canvas, you start to realize how dirty the actual one is. And I think that's how our lives are. We fear God, and we start to fear God because we understand that, hey, we may be good, but God is perfect. And when you put your mildly dirty canvas next to the perfect canvas, you start to see the flaws in yours, and you start to see and understand that you have no comprehension of how great this God is, and you start feeling the understanding that you have a beginning, you have an end, and yet God does not. And in him, you gain eternity. And so this week, I want to challenge you all with increasing your wisdom and your knowledge through biblical advice from others, from reading the Word of God. Take that advice and be better for it. And then accept the limitations that you have, the knowledge that you don't have, and embrace the complexities of an awesome God. I love you all. I hope that you have a great day.